Welcome to another episode of the Itty Bitty Podcast. Yay, we've reached episode 11. So thanks everybody for tuning in. If you've been digging the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Make sure you follow on Instagram at Itty Bitty Podcast. Check us out on Twitter at Itty Bitty Pcast. We've got the website ittybittypodcast.com. Facebook, there's also a Facebook group, so make sure you jump on both of those. And so all this month we're going to be doing special Halloween themed shows. So I always liked when I was a kid when you'd have like October specials and they would run them all month. So for the whole month of October, we're going to do different interviews with different people. So I've got my buddy who's got a horror movie coming out. So we've got a bunch of different stuff that we're going to do this week. We're going to talk about serial killers. In the month we'll finish off with a game of Dungeons and Dragons. I almost said Final Fantasy. Game of Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy horror version. So we're going to have our own special edition of that. So my guest this week is my wife, Amy, and we're actually going to be talking about serial killers, and I'm going to be trying to make her feel as uncomfortable as possible. So, but keep in mind that this is not a podcast about serial killers. It is the Itty Bitty Podcast. It's anything but, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Itty Bitty Podcast. Happy Halloween. It's the Itty Bitty Podcast. It's the Itty Bitty Podcast. Happy Halloween. The Itty Bitty Podcast.
All right, welcome to a spooky edition of the Itty Bitty Podcast. Spooky. So my guest this week, you might know her from, if you were at our wedding, she was the other person you were there to see.
Thanks.
So,
yeah.
My wife, Amy, is my guest this week on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Not out of desperation this time, actually.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. It honestly was not. It was because we were doing what we're going to actually do on the podcast today, the other day, and I thought it was entertaining to me, so I figured we would do it for the show. So we are going to talk about serial killers today.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to make my wife as uncomfortable as possible.
What you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do every day. So I was doing this, actually, this was something I was doing like just, I don't know, because it was like a Thursday afternoon or something.
Sounds about right.
So, but we'll get into it. So we're hanging out, it's like a Monday afternoon or something, some shit. This will be the first episode. We're going to do some Halloween themed episodes for the month of October. And it's going to conclude with... I talked a little bit about, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we talked a little bit about it last week about how we're going to do a game, Dungeons and Dragons style, to end the month of October. So
that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. And shout out to Wander Beats for changing the intro. So we got a new intro for just the month of October. So we're going to bounce between the new intros for a little bit. So
it's
same
spooky.
intro, but yeah, spooky. So I'm a big little kid. What can I say?
Yep.
So right off the bat, I want to ask you, because we'll get into like the actual, I'm going to read basically off a website. So it's a little bit of a cheat sheet here today. But before we get into that part of the serial killers, who's your favorite serial killer? Can you name one off the top of your head?
I mean, I don't really have a favorite, but one that is more known to me, I guess, is Ted Bundy, just because there was just a documentary
So Ted Bundy,
on it.
so Ted Bundy's driving down the road, picks you, you're hitchhiking in the 60s, you get in, you're like, oh, this guy's awesome. Do you like then...
Oh, yeah, because he's like a good-looking guy, right? Supposedly, in that time of...
Supposedly,
most
yeah.
of the
He's kind
ladies,
of a weird-looking
I
dude.
know, but most of the ladies said like he was a good-looking guy.
Yeah. But that was his game. He would like pick chicks up and shit. And,
Right. We watched that documentary.
yeah. Would you get in and be like, hey, what's up, man?
Hell no.
Well, no, I'm saying this is like back in the day before Ted Bundy. Like, do you think that, like, with your worldview right now, do you think that you would get in and just be like, yeah?
Right now, no.
No.
Absolutely not. Why would I be hitchhiking? B, why?
Because you want to meet some chill people, some laid back people.
So I just walk in the streets looking for people?
For the purposes of a favorite serial killer and to start this podcast, yes.
So if I was like looking out for serial killers, was that what you're saying? Am I scoping them out?
Maybe. Is Ted Bundy the only serial killer that you know, though?
I
feel like
remind me of the others. I know. I just don't know names, like I told you.
I mean, some of my favorites. My favorite one is one that I didn't like. My favorites are always the one I don't.
Really bad that you have a favorite, by the way. It's kind of scary.
Anyway, don't interrupt. Don't interrupt Daddy while he's talking.
No, shut up. This is what I live with.
So one of my favorites is I think Carson actually told me about I think it's called, not the ice truck killer. That was from Dexter. The toy box killer.
Oh yeah. I remember him talking about that.
Yeah. And this guy he like converted a van of some sort.
Almost.
Hopefully he's on the list. Hopefully we go through him on this list, because he was one of my favorites and he kind of converted it. And then he would play this tape. It was like a 35 to 45 minute tape, probably longer than that, and he would describe what he was about to do to the young women, because let's face it, it's always a young woman.
Yeah.
And so he would describe in detail like all the shit he was going to do to them, and then pretty much he would do that and then kill them. So yeah, so he's a fun one.
Excuse me.
Ed Gein, that's the one who I think they based what's it called, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I like that one. I mean, I don't like it, but
I like that serial killer. Now we're getting somewhere.
I liked that movie. Those movies, I should say.
Well, I say it all the time. I feel like we live amongst serial killers.
Well, especially in this area.
Yeah, we live in the Pacific. I'm talking like fucking Mike Tyson. The Pacific Northwest. And I feel like that's the serial killer. That's where Ted Bundy started. And then eventually went to like, I think Florida and some shit, and fucking some shit up there. But
right. He did go across the country.
Yeah. So without further ado, I think we should kick it off, and I'm going to pull this up on my phone here. And I'm
so excited to hear about a bunch of serial killers.
Yeah. And so let's start with, and this is from allthat'sinteresting.com. So I don't know how reliable this source is, but whatever, we'll just use it because it's easy. So here we go. Edmund Kemper. So this is the first one we're going to go with.
Okay.
So this guy, it says in 1964, at the age of 15, he killed his own grandparents, saying he just wanted to see what it felt like to kill grandma.
Oh.
Released after just 6 years, Kemper reigned terror on California, raping, murdering, and desecrating the corpses of 8 women.
Oh.
The second to last of which was his own mother, who he bludgeoned with a claw hammer before defiling her severed head.
Oh,
that means he stuck his dick in her mouth, or maybe the bottom part.
Oh God!
Well, that's what it means, right? Defiled her severed head.
Ugh.
So it means he like stuck his peener in the mouth and maybe her nostrils.
That's disgusting.
Doesn't say whether he like removed the eyes and did stuff to the eye sockets.
Okay, you're getting way too creative there.
He then confessed and remains in prison to this day.
Oh, good.
So this is, I don't know how. So
he killed and raped 8 women after killing his grandparents, and then he killed his mother.
It says, yeah, he was released after 6 years. It doesn't say why he was released though.
Oh, good. These are the people that we should keep in jail.
Yeah, and they live amongst us.
Yay.
You never know who's going to be one.
Why are you giving me that look?
Of Just joking.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
If I disappear one day, you might know why.
Well, hey, it's not all males, so we're gonna get to some female serial killers too.
Like
Okay.
Lorena Bobbitt style, but more.
Well, I told you I don't remember exactly what it was in some country somewhere. I can't remember if we talked about it on the Choice Nugs Only podcast, but there was a chick who was pissed off at her boyfriend, so she cut off his dick with garden shears.
You guys did talk about that.
Did we talk
you
about
and Carson, I was here.
Yeah. So that was recent, and that was like, I remember why she did it. I remember we were trying to figure out why she did it. It was because he showed her nudes to his friends. So and she got pissed off. So she like had him blindfold. She put a blindfold on him, and she was trying to tie him up, but he wouldn't let her tie him up. And then she just cut off his fucking dick and balls with a garden shear.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Not even anything clean cut too. That's like.
And I told you, I think there was pictures. You can look at those. I have you look at all the nasty shit.
I'm good.
Yeah, you give me looks, but you would, like, if we actually pulled up pictures of like the crime scenes, you'd be like, oh, okay, I'll look at that, and I'd be grossed out by it.
I don't know. I think I'd be grossed out as well.
I don't know.
I mean, I can handle blood and guts if that's what you're saying, but.
So this next one, this is kind of sweet because it's like a callback to where we met. We met in California. Okay. And this next guy, so it looks like he was given the death sentence in the state of California. So, let's start at the top. His name was Rodney James Alcala. And it says, Rodney James Alcala was a lady killer, literally. The outwardly charming Alcala landed a spot on the dating game in 1978 while in the middle of his murderous reign. I just got distracted. Later earning him the nickname the dating game killer. Okay, so he's on the dating game while he's out there murking people. So he's the dating
game like a TV show?
Yeah, you've never seen the dating game or her. I mean, I've never seen the actual show, but I've seen clips.
Like in the 70s or 80s or something?
Yeah, it says 78.
Okay.
And so it was like, they'd be like
like where you pick door number 1, door number 2, that kind of.
I guess it'd be like show? 1 dude and 3 bitches, and
Right.
So, so it says Alcala was eventually given I already said that, for the murder of five people. What the fuck just happened? Sorry, I just got distracted. I do that a lot. The killer himself, though, says that the number is low. So he says that he was sentenced to die for the murder of 5 people, but he claims that he raped, tortured, and murdered well over 100 victims.
Oh my goodness.
So that was kind of light. I feel like,
we don't have to go darker.
Well, that's just, I guess that's a good like palate cleanser from the first guy who like murdered his family.
Right. And
this guy had a fun name. He was on the dating game.
What was his name?
Rodney Alcala.
Was he also a good looking guy, supposedly?
You can look at the picture of him. Is he a good looking guy?
So like in the 70s, maybe he would be the good looking with the long hair and the...
Yeah, I'm sure he looks fucking skeevy. I'm sure if you looked at him, he would probably look dead behind the eyes, but...
Right. But apparently that's what the girls went for in those days.
But it's not always men who get in on the fun, though. Because I teased it earlier.
Yeah.
And we're already getting into it.
All right.
So...
Bring the bitches on.
Leonarda... I know that kind of sounds like Leonardo, but Leonarda Cianciulli murdered several women in Italy in 1939 to 1940.
That did sound Italian.
And turned their bodies into soap and tea cakes. I think I read you this one already.
Made them into soap?
Soap. So her murder spree started after a visit to a fortune teller left her convinced that she had to perform human sacrifices to get her son alive. Or to keep her son alive, sorry. She murdered 3 women.
So she did it for a good reason.
Okay, but she murdered 3 women, getting rid of their bodies by gifting the soap and cakes to her friends. The clumsy third murder led the police to her door, and locals were rocked by the news that their neighbor was a killer and that they'd been washing their bodies with human remains.
Ew. Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, so it's like...
And eating it?
I don't know what
Cakes?
tea cakes are.
Tea cakes? I think those are those little, like, cakes with frosting. I don't know. I think that's something you eat.
They could be like tea cake candles.
Maybe.
Is that a thing?
Let's think that and not that they're eating them.
Yeah.
Because that's gross.
I mean, it's still kind of nasty that you're cleaning yourself with...
Duh. Yeah, both ways, it's gross.
I bet it's a deep clean, though. You know?
At least she's, recycling, reusing.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to waste.
No. Okay. I was going to keep going on her, but this lady just popped up.
Oh, another lady.
So it's another lady. It just says Nanny Doss. So
a nanny?
She was a nanny. And it says from the 1920s until the 1950s.
This is why we have nanny cams now.
From the 1920s to the 1950s, Nanny Doss, a.k.a. the Giggling Granny.
Ew.
Why, you don't like that?
Out.
You don't like the Giggling Granny?
No, because I'm imagining a little grandma like... It's creepy.
Murdered an estimated 11 people. How the fuck did she do it? Oh, well, she killed her 4 husbands.
Whoa.
2 of her 4 children, her 2 sisters, her mother,
she kept it in the family,
a grandson, and a grandmother-in-law. And when she was finally caught, Doss could hardly talk about the murders without cracking a smile and laughing. So she liked to kill her family.
And 4 husbands. I mean,
a lot of
when
people
you
think about killing their
have
family,
1 or 2 husbands, don't you start looking into them like, why do you have 4?
Well, it was in the 1920s.
Right. You're supposed to only have 1 at that time. Like, divorce wasn't a thing.
Yeah, but people died people died regularly, and they didn't have like CSI and shit to fucking, investigate and figure
More
it
deaths. I guess people did die younger then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, and who's going to suspect a little old lady who's just like...
And how old was she?
It doesn't say. It just, you can...
But she was a grandma, so...
It says from the 1920s until the 1950s.
So she was doing that for a good 30 years.
Mm-hmm. So maybe just like...
20 to 30 years.
One family outing at a time.
Right, generation to generation.
Yeah, you just poison one person. You're just like, hey man, fucking, you want to try
Welcome
these?
to the family.
Yeah. And then slowly. But she killed, it says 2 of her 4 children, her 2 sisters, her mother, a grandson, and mother-in-law.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. These people
and then she would giggle
like
about
dummies.
it.
And she would giggle about it. Probably because she would probably it was probably hella easy to get them to trust her. Then she would just fucking give them cookies and it would just be laced with rat poisoning.
Do you think it's like a creepy grandma giggle or like the giggle that the blonde chick has on your favorite movie?
What favorite movie?
The one that has another one coming out.
What?
By Rob Zombie.
Oh, the chick, like the baby from the Devil's Rejects.
Yes. You know how she has a creepy laugh? You think it's like that or like an old granny laugh?
I think anytime old people laugh, it's slightly disturbing.
Yeah.
Because they always struggle to use the muscles in their face and shit. They're just, I'm just kidding.
Oh man,
I'm sorry to anybody who's old.
You're gonna be a funny old person.
Yeah, it's gonna suck when I'm fucking old. Okay. Ooh, we're gonna mix it up here. We've got Pedro Rodriguez Filho.
Filho?
Yeah. So Brazilian. So
okay.
I'm probably saying that completely wrong.
Probably.
So this guy's Brazilian, and by the time he was 18 years old, he had already committed 10 murders in his native Brazil.
Holy moly!
That's not a lot. I feel like if you're in Brazil.
Well, but at that age?
Isn't that basically like a third world country? I apologize, Brazil, if you're not, but it says he was just at that age. Yeah, I guess at 18, but he was just getting started though. He would kill at least 61. Okay, there you go. 61 more before he was arrested in 1973. But he lived by a code. So here you go.
He was filtering out the...
It says he only went after criminals and those who had wronged him. That included his own father. When Phil found out his father had killed his mother, he cut out his heart and ate it.
Oh, he got like dirty.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess if people that have wronged, but not just him, I guess.
But like how
criminal,
wrong? How?
But yeah, like
what's the level of severity?
Like cut you off on the highway, like.
Oh, you're definitely getting stabbed for that shit.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like
where I come from.
What kind of throw pennies?
Shout out to Brockton, Mass.
Yeah, I don't. It would, I guess, depend on the severity of what he's saying. Wronged.
What do you mean? Like
again,
but you got to give me an example of what, like
people that criminals like that murdered other people.
But what would somebody have to do to you to get you to be like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking kill you and cut your heart out and eat it?
But see, that's the difference between me and a serial killer. I don't think that way.
You talk your problems out.
Yeah.
That's dumb. On to
or
the
you
next
just
one.
Flip them off, or
that's the dumbest way to do it.
Oh, so what? You're gonna kill them?
I mean, if somebody's wronged you, yeah, I think so.
Do you have like a list? Do you have a book somewhere? If I find a diary, I shouldn't open it.
No, I'm just kidding. This guy's from like way back in the day, like 1440. We're not going to talk about this guy just because that's fucking old as fuck.
Yeah, he sounds lame.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. We're going to move on to Richard Chase. So Richard Chase, it says, even for a serial killer, Richard Chase is disturbing. Dubbed the Vampire of Sacramento, Chase killed 6 people in California in the 1970s, but he didn't stop there. What do you think he did to them?
Beheaded them.
It doesn't say specifically that, but give me something else. Just a better guess as to what he did to them.
Cut off their fingers and saved them as his trophies.
Sure, maybe. Okay, so this is what after they died, he defiled their bodies.
Okay, here we go with that again.
You remember what defiled means from earlier? It means he stuck his penis in it.
Gross.
Drank their blood.
Oh, you said vampire. I should have been better at guessing.
Yeah, the Vampire of Sacramento. I should have said it again just to give you a clue.
Should have.
You can ask for clues.
Okay.
Sorry, we didn't really describe the rules of the game.
Oh, I didn't realize we were playing a game.
It's not really a game. It's just okay, so after they died, so he defiled their bodies. Again, penises inserted.
Yep, got it.
Drank their blood and ate their internal organs.
Ooh.
He was caught and killed himself in prison in 1980. There's no picture of him though.
He killed himself in prison. I wonder if anybody drank his blood.
I mean, most normal people don't drink blood.
I don't know. If he had a cellmate, thirsty.
Why? I mean, why would would he drink? Are you talking about him drinking his cellmate's blood?
No, once he was dead, if his cellmate drank his blood.
Just because he was a vampire, it's like, hey, fuck this guy, I'm going to drink his blood?
Yeah.
I mean, the other person that he would be celled with would have to be a real fucking psychopath for that to be the scenario. Why would they
put 2 psychopaths together?
No, I mean, I'm sure they do that all the time, but
right.
Why would the second person, I don't know. I just don't get that rationale, but thanks for that contribution to the podcast. Anyway.
Shut up.
Anyway. Okay. Pedro Lopez, the monster of the Andes. Pedro Lopez was convicted of killing 110 girls, specifically girls. But
like young girls or like women?
It doesn't say, but I'm gonna let's see if we can find out more. But some criminologists believe he may have killed as many as 300.
Holy.
Lopez traveled between Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador throughout the 1970s, picking up and murdering his victims. Lopez claims that at his peak, he was killing up to 3 people a week. I mean, there's fucking 7 days in the week, so that's kind of, I mean, if you got to get rid of a body, yeah, I guess that's a good pace. Because, yeah, you got to do the cleanup, you got to fucking come up with your alibi, so shout out to Pedro Lopez.
Because you're a professional, you know all that.
Well, I was like, that's. I mean, I guess if you worked hard, you could do 4 a week. Then I guess
if you didn't have a job and didn't have other duties, like, I don't know, like a family. Some of these people have families.
Yeah, and I guess at his peak, and if that's an average too, because it could be like that. Some weeks he does more. Right. Some weeks he does less. Right. Yeah. You know? Gives
himself a little vacation.
A little off day. But the most disturbing part of the story is the aftermath. In 1998, Lopez was released from his psychiatric unit for good behavior. His whereabouts are currently unknown, so he's still out there. So Pedro Lopez, I'm a fan. Shout out to Pedro Lopez if you're listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
In hiding. He might be.
How old is he supposedly now?
It doesn't. This was in 1998 that he was released.
98. Oh, he was released. So he was picked up at one point and released. But like in Ecuador or something, or in the United States?
I mean, I would hope it wouldn't be in the United States.
I don't think we would let somebody go like that in the United States. I would at least hope we wouldn't.
It could happen.
It could.
Okay. Ooh. So now we're back to the ladies.
Okay.
So Aileen. Eileen, maybe it's Aileen. Eileen, maybe.
All right.
Aileen, maybe.
We'll go with Aileen.
Wuornos. So Wuornos. So this broad killed 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990.
Ooh, she's killing men.
Yeah, I feel like that's I mean, the other lady was killing like her kids and shit too, but
right. One was doing the family members, one was doing women.
Yeah.
This one's men.
So it says she tried to convince the jury that every murder was in self-defense against men who tried to rape her, but they didn't buy it, and she was sentenced to death by lethal injection.
Oh,
yeah.
What
Florida
if they
doesn't
were
fuck around. I mean, I feel like if it's 7 men,
self-defense. Geez.
And I'm sure they probably it is Florida, so who knows? But
everybody's crazy over there.
Yeah. I'm surprised it was just 7.
That we know of. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, this guy, I mean, you probably have heard about this guy. This guy is famous. He's one of the more famous ones. And I know that you love clowns.
Oh, God.
Do you know this next guy's name?
No.
The killer clown guy?
No.
John Wayne Gacy?
I guess it sounds familiar.
Well, he wasn't. I mean, I don't think he dressed up as a clown when he killed people, but he's one of the most famous. He performed at birthday parties and shit as a clown. I don't think that you say
famous for serial killers.
I didn't say favorite this time. I said famous.
I know, but famous, like they shouldn't be famous because they're serial killers. I think they should be.
I don't write the way history books go, Amy. That's just the way it works. They do something fucking crazy and then they're on the internet and the history books forever.
And then people want to mock them because they want to become famous.
You mean mock them? You mean like copycat? Be like a copycat killer?
Yes.
Yeah, but there's so much there's deterrence from that in the form of, DNA evidence and fucking jail time and
you would hope that people wouldn't, but
I mean, it's definitely in places remote like this. There's definitely a bunch of them because there's places to hide out. I just don't know what to tell you. It's just the way it goes. Mm-hmm. So do you want to know why this guy's famous before you knock him? Maybe he did something besides being a serial killer.
Yeah, maybe he was a clown.
He was a famous birthday party clown named Pogo the Clown.
Oh, God.
And
kids?
Well, I mean, this guy's not a complete sicko. He lured as many as 33 teenage boys, so they were teenagers, and young men into his suburban Illinois home in the 1970s. Still fucked up, with his clueless wife in the other room.
Oh, see? Oof.
with his clueless wife in the other room. He sexually assaulted them, strangled them to death, and buried their bodies in the crawl space under his house before he was caught and finally executed in 1994.
Oh, good. He was executed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like if I was murdering young men in the house, it would be apparent.
Yes.
You would know.
Yes.
It's
Don't look at me like that. Yes, I would know.
I wasn't giving you any type of look. I was taking a sip of my vino.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would your reaction be to that? If I was like, hey man, like
I would Lorena Bob at you, and then I would bring you to prison. Like
Carson came over to record Choice Nugs Only. We'll plug the other show while we're doing. Carson came over to record Choice Nugs Only, and like you walked in, I was murdering him. Would you be like fucking? Would you snitch on me or what?
Hell yeah.
Okay, good. That's a correct response. But that's fucked, man. His wife. So she had to have known then. 33. And then what did she say? What does he say to her when they're gone? Like when they don't, like he just takes him out like, hey.
And it starts smelling like rotting corpse.
Well, no, it sounds like, oh shit, what just happened? Oh man. Oh no, it sounds like, let me see. And buried their body. Oh yeah. He buried it in the crawl space.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they were all there or if he had multiple.
Do I need to go down in our crawl space right now?
Do you really think I have you kill all the spiders in the house? Do you really think I'm going under the crawl space?
True.
Like, I'll be like, hey, Amy, can you clear the crawl space out of spiders so I can go under there for something?
Don't mind all the noise and
absolutely not. I would never. No. So, okay, on to the next. This is fun. Why haven't we done this before?
Because you're creepy and that's weird.
Well, I mean, what do you want me to say? Anyway, Richard Speck left the nation in terror in 1966 when he murdered 8. Oh yeah, I remember this guy. Remember I told you about this guy? When he murdered 8 nursing students in a single night.
Oh yeah.
Speck already had a lengthy criminal record of robbery, rape, and murder when he broke into the Chicago townhouse where the nursing students were living. He tied up and stabbed or strangled 8 of the women before fleeing at dawn. Speck spent the rest of his life in prison before dying on the eve of his 50th birthday in 1991. It's kind of sad that he didn't get to see his 50th birthday.
No, that's perfectly fine that he died on his 50th birthday. I think karma just took its course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nurses. Why were they nursing students? Was it just he was following?
I don't know. Let's maybe paint a picture of this guy. Maybe he had a bad experience at a hospital, or maybe he had like a fetish for nurses when he was younger. You know.
People are creepy.
What? That doesn't. I mean.
It just reminded me of somebody asking me about candy stripes if they had them around still.
Oh, and like if you have to wear them?
It was just kind of an old man asking, and it was kind of creepy. I didn't like it. I didn't like the question. I didn't like his tone with it. He was looking for some candy stripes to stare at.
Did he do this after?
Ew. Don't do that. That's so creepy when you do that. Stop it.
Anywho, all right, we're going to keep pushing. In the remote Alaska wilderness, Robert Hansen kidnapped and murdered at least 17 women in the 1970s and 80s.
Alaska, yep.
Okay, so if you were going to kill somebody in Alaska and you're a white guy, how would you go about doing it? I mean, Alaska, there's not a lot of people up in Alaska, right. And it's remote, and again, we're a remote wilderness. And he kidnapped and murdered at least 17 women. So how do we think he did this?
Well, I think he probably buried them under the ice. Like he put a little hole and like.
How did he kill them though?
Dropped them there.
Because it's kind of a unique way. He didn't just kill them.
All right.
How did he do it?
Tied them up and tortured them.
Nope, that's run of the mill.
Okay.
You got to think outside the box.
I know. He
You're
lured
murdering
and
17 women. Your dog just farted as well.
tied him up and had a bear eat them.
You're fucking terrible at this. Inspired by the short story, The Most Dangerous Game, Hansen released his victims into the wilderness and hunted them.
Ooh.
Hansen was eventually apprehended in 1983. He spent the rest of his life in an Alaskan prison where he died in 2014.
So, like, he hunted them. Did he, like, make them look like bears, or
Made them look like bears?
so, like he was hunting bears?
Like, did he have, like, trophies of their heads up in there
Sure.
and have, like, people skin rugs?
Right.
I don't know, but that would be a cool... now I like where you're going with that. That's thinking outside the box. People skin rugs. Ooh, ugh.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy. Imagine you walked into somebody's house and they just had a people skin rug.
No.
Mm.
I mean,
Would
any
you
of that,
stay, or
like,
would you-
taxidermy crap creeps me out anyways. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. No.
Although you did think that a jackalope was real. And that's taxidermy.
Well,
I
but
did too,
it's-
though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real, deer head with a...
No, it's like a rabbit with antlers.
I mean, a real rabbit head with real antlers that they shove on top of them. So they're still real animals put together to make a not real thing,
Well,
right? Because they are real rabbits that they use, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's two
Yeah.
real things put together. And but I just had never... I don't know. I mean, they can have shit that you don't know about, so who knows? Anyway,
A mystical creature.
We're getting sidetracked here. We don't want to get sidetracked because we're on to serial killers. We're doing serial killers for this episode. And so the next one that we're going to talk about, and let's see. Ooh, okay. This guy he has a cool nickname. So his name is Louis Garavito, and his nickname is the Beast. And it says, and he earned it.
Ooh.
So between 1992 and 1999, that was like my formative years. This guy was out here fucking up people in Colombia, and said most of them were orphans who had lost their parents in the country's civil war. Eventually caught, he's serving a 1,853-year sentence in a Colombian prison for the rape and murder of 138 children.
Oh my God.
Though by some counts, he may have killed as many as 400.
And they were all supposedly orphans?
All orphans.
Ugh, those poor kids.
Well, I mean, they're dead.
Well, now, but they had such a sad life. They were taken away from their parents or given away from their parents and then raped and murdered. That's horrible. Well, thanks for that. That's depressing.
Super uplifting. What are you talking about? I'm just glad I'm, trying to get your gauge on this stuff. It's October. We're doing serial killers.
I think I'd rather
What do you think he looks like?
What, the guy that you just described?
Uh-huh.
A redhead. I'm just kidding. Colombia.
Yeah, a redhead in Colombia.
I don't know. He looks like a long-haired... Ew. He's got one of those mustaches. That's like the stereotypical mustache of a Colombian guy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he works for fucking Pablo Escobar. But, yeah, he fucking looks like he would probably kill a bunch of people, though.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this guy. This guy is from... Oh, I actually read about this guy. This guy's from Russia. I'm going to show you his picture.
Russians are crazy.
Look at that picture. He
Okay.
doesn't look like he has teeth.
He looks like a normal Russian guy.
That guy looks normal. He doesn't have any fucking teeth, and he's like smiling.
Well, I see
ear
a lot
to
of
ear.
people without teeth. I mean, we live in a place where a
Not
lot
so
of
many
meth
people.
goes around and people don't have teeth. So that's like kind of normal around here.
Well,
And then the other half of people I see are old. And I mean, if they take their dentures out, they look weird.
So he was known as Russia's Red Ripper. Andre Chikatilo. He's got a fun name.
Chikatilo.
Probably fucking that up. He killed up to 56 women and children between 19. So he's mixing it up at least. He's killing women and children. He's not discriminating.
Right.
Why don't you think serial killers ever kill guys?
Well, that woman did.
Is it just because of ease? Well, yeah, the women do.
Mm-hmm.
But they do it because, like, that's like a,
it's a predator thing.
It's a predator thing?
Yeah.
Just because it's easier?
No, it's what they prey on. It's what they... I mean, yes, women can be looked at as more vulnerable, and I suppose they could more easily kill them. But also, it's what they get off on it, a lot of them. Like, they rape them and then they murder them, or it's what they choose to
and then they ejaculate.
Prey on. It's disgusting.
I'm just keeping it real.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's
some
are there
ejaculation.
no male serial killers that kill men? Wasn't there one in Boston?
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Wasn't there one in Boston that
Well,
recently that was killing young college men?
Well, it's not a serial killer. They haven't said that it's a serial killer.
But it was multiples.
But for the last, and this is all there's no actual. There's different stories and shit. Nobody's people that talk about how they think that they're serial killers, but young guys are going to Boston, and what are you doing?
There's a fly.
No, you can't distract me. Young guys were going into Boston, going to Celtics
Clubs
games, whatever, getting fucked up, and it's a similar story each time. One guy would be going out to have a cigarette or some shit, and then they go missing from their friends,
right?
And then turn up a couple days later in the Charles River. So that's just happened a more times than it should have in the last few years, and it's similar timing, and I think it's similar time of year and shit. So
they haven't caught anybody yet.
They haven't even they haven't even declared that it's a serial killer.
Right, but if they catch somebody, then they can figure out it's a serial killer. If they find out
you have
multiples.
I feel like they have to link them and be okay, this is now
I mean, how many killings?
Unless it's the mob and they're oh, you can't fucking touch it.
That. That could definitely happen.
Who knows?
But how many kills makes a serial killer? Isn't it just I
feel like
2 of the same or 3 of the same type of?
I don't know. I mean,
there is a thing that would classify a serial killer, right?
What?
It's a serial amount.
I'm sure it's a certain amount. I'm
right.
sure it's 3. It's probably.
And they all have to be similar styles or whatever.
No, I think it's just, some people like to do that just because they like to have their own weird stamp, or it's some weird shit that from when they were a child that they have to do some weird shit. That's why they do it. But I mean, for the most part, it's just
people that like to kill.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of it is they get fucked up when they're younger. So this guy, it says he often would gouge his victims' eyes out, convinced that his image would be left on the eyes of the dead.
Oh,
that's pretty fucking gnarly. Ultimately, he was caught and executed in 1994.
And did they take his eyes out? I feel like eye for an eye, right? Just kidding.
Isn't that what is that Hammurabi's Code? Is that what that's from? I know some things. I think that's what it was.
All right, I'll go with you on that.
All right, so Candyman.
Ooh,
Dean
no, don't say that
Coral.
one. I just got the creeps.
Why isn't there a picture here?
Have you seen that movie, Candyman? Don't say it one more time because he's going to show up in the mirror.
Candyman.
No!
Candyman.
Creepy.
I think so.
I'm envisioning it now.
I watched
way
too many. I watched way too many horror movies when I was a kid. And I one of my favorites was Hellraiser, just because it was all so fucked up. But Candyman, Dean Coral, I can't see his picture.
We have to stop saying that.
Terrorized Houston. I thought it was Bloody Mary. Terrorized Houston in the 1970s as he and 2 teenage accomplices raped and murdered no less than 28 teenage boys.
So there were 2 of them?
3. So it's him and 2 teenage accomplices.
Oh.
And it says he lured these victims into his van with candy, alcohol, and promises a party. Oh, so this guy is like, he's kind of a, what's the word?
A creep?
No. Trailblazer. I was going to say trailblazer.
Trailblazer?
Yeah, because when you think of like creepy vans, what do you always say?
Right.
Hey kids, you want some candy?
Right. Oh, so he was like
And this is the fucking the
dude,
candy man.
The dude that started
This is the candy guy. I feel like Candyman is such a, they should have called him the candy guy, you know? He's like, hey man, you want some candy, alcohol, and promises of parties. You don't make it to the party though. Then forced them to write postcards to their families, falsely saying they'd run away before torturing and killing them. Eventually, the nightmare
they are
ended.
all like young.
The people that he killed?
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you're getting lured in with candy and alcohol, it means you're not old enough to buy your own alcohol. And this was when the 1970s, when you could get alcohol at the age of like 15. 18. So my guess is they're like 13-year-olds.
All right. Well, that's gross. Yeah, luring him with candy. Well, that is the staple, like, do not accept candy from stranger type. He started that.
It says one of his accomplices, unwilling to kill anymore, stole his gun and shot him in the head. That's how so he got blasted by one of his homies.
There you go.
Yeah. So
is his homie now in jail?
I don't know. It doesn't say. This is just very basic from, again, the website's allthat'sinteresting.com.
Right.
So it's not like we did much research for this. I just, whether this is true or not, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. I wanted to read some disturbing stuff to the woman I love.
So romantic.
Yeah. And you can bet that I'm going to be fucking with you the rest of the night. We should watch Chucky tonight.
I was going to say we should watch Candyman if you haven't seen it. I don't know if I can do it.
I think I've seen Candyman. That's the black guy, right?
It's a big black guy. Yeah, so if he turns up in a mirror of yours, then...
With bees or some shit?
Yeah. I don't know about bees. It's been a while since I saw it, but that shit was creepy.
Jeepers Creepers, I think, always reminded me of Candyman. That was actually a decent movie. You ever see that?
I've ever seen that.
You ever saw Jeepers Creepers?
I don't know. I feel like I have.
I think they're driving on the highway and it's like this fucking dude fucking... Oh, wait, no, that's the sequel. Oh, no, that is Jeepers Creepers. Yeah, it's like this thing that... And this guy comes out... This thing comes out to feed every, like, couple of years. I'm fucking it up because it's been years since I've seen it.
Like a creature?
I can't remember if it's a creature or if it's a dude. The door's unlocked. I'm just looking at that. It's kind of scary. Now that we're talking about fucking serial killers.
Oh, good. At least it's still light out.
Yeah, that's true. We're doing this early enough to where I'm
dark.
starting to fucking scare myself. This is
right?
starting to get... I'm hoping that these get a little bit darker.
Did I introduce you to the movie Killer Clowns?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen it, no.
I introduced you.
Yes, you introduced it to me. That was a good, it was like a good shitty movie.
Well, it's an 80s movie or early 90s.
Well, no, it's I think it's famously shitty.
Yeah, it's awesomely horrible.
Have we ever watched Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
I have way back in the day, but it's been a while.
I don't know if that's supposed to be a scary. I think it's like a spoof on scary movies, but that was always one of my favorite movies as a kid.
We might have to watch that one again. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I don't like tomatoes to this day.
They're delicious. You should.
They don't do anything for me.
Full of vitamin C.
Yeah. This guy's got a fun name. So I'm going to give you another chance at the guessing game.
Okay.
So his name is Fritz Harman. In 1918, so we're going back.
Way back.
Back a ways.
The
Vampire of Hanover embarked on a series of 27 savage murders in Germany. So let's see. Okay, so let's do categories here. So who were his victims? So far we should be experts at this point.
Nazi, like Jews?
Well, this is 1918, so I don't know.
So probably I'm bad with history.
This is way before World War II. This is even before World War One, I think.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that because I'm not fucking doing any research. It's been a while since I've been in high school, so fuck off.
I have to take history next. Ugh.
Okay, so which category? So we've gone through a bunch. So is he killing? Is he killing other men? Is he killing?
Maybe this is our first male on male killer.
So it is male on male, but it's young boys again.
Oh, okay.
And how does he kill him? What is the method? So remember, he's a vampire of Hanover. So what is his
he
method?
is a vampire again?
Yep, another vampire.
Oh, well then he's drinking their blood again.
Close. He's biting into their throats.
I was going to say that.
And it says, and if the rumors are to be to believed, he may have even sold some of their flesh on the black market as mincemeat.
Ooh.
It took until 1924 before Harmon was finally brought to justice and executed by guillotine.
That's why you don't buy anything off the black market.
Yeah, especially not vapes anymore. Apparently, everybody's dying from vapes.
Oy.
All right, so we're back to the bitches.
The bitches that kill?
Yes.
All right.
So we've got Myra Hindley, and it says that the most evil woman in Britain helped her lover Ian Brady. So I fucked that up. Ian Brady sexually assault and murder 5 children in the mid-1960s. In committing the so-called Moore murders, the couple lured children into their car under the pretense of offering them a ride home. From there, the couple would brutally murder the children and bury their bodies in the English countryside. The 2 were caught and put in prison, where Hindley died in 2002. So another, that's like in the mid-1960s, and then they were caught and died in 2002. So that's another like trailblazer type.
Yeah.
Because that's
like a couple that offers.
Yeah, like rides home, like, because you're not supposed to take rides from strangers. So we're finding out all of this stuff about why. This is like a nice little...
Yeah, we'll teach our kids this.
Yeah.
Don't take rides from strangers. Because there was this couple in the 1960s.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've told this story on the podcast when, I can't remember when it was, but I told the story about when we stopped for that hitchhiker by accident.
Oh, God.
So.
That was so creepy.
Yeah. Well, you said
you didn't have your lights on.
No, I had the lights on.
No, you didn't have the lights on because remember we were coming from a drive-in and that's why we couldn't see him and that's why you stopped.
Oh, yeah. And you said you would have driven right into him, over him because he scared you.
He scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere.
Yeah, because we didn't see him and he just happened to be there when we happened to stop and he happened to think that we were stopping because he was hitchhiking and we were not. And
yeah, I had put the car in the wrong gear and so I stopped and I just happened to stop where a hitchhiker was.
Yeah.
And it's you can't see shit
black.
on these roads. Yeah.
They don't have side street
and so
lights.
She screamed and that made me scream. And then I just slammed on the gas and fucking took off and left this guy standing there in the road. And he's
probably like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he really thought we were going to pick him up. But
and we were like,
my bad, homie. So, yeah, these 2, Myra Hindley. So that's why you don't take rides from strangers. Well, I mean, Ted Bundy, too. That was another, case of, taking rides from strangers. But that was
more women and this was more kids, right?
Yeah. Okay, so now we've got our first... This guy's the only one who actually killed men. But they were mostly gay black men. Okay. So from 1978 to 1991. Again,
that's their prey. So that's why I was going to say that. It's what they maybe get aroused by. Or so a gay male might kill men.
Right.
As a serial killer.
Well, he would lure them in and he would... But obviously we're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, one of the most famous of all time. I learned about Jeffrey Dahmer at a young age.
So wait, was he gay also, or did he not like gay people and was killing them?
No, I'm pretty sure he would have sex with them after. So Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal, murdered 17 people between 1978 and 1991. It says most of them gay black men. I wonder if they were gay and black or gay/black men.
Like either or? Is that what you're saying?
Actually, no, it would have to be gay black men because that's how he would lure them in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this guy, he was a fan of the dark meat. I guess taste, maybe.
Oh yeah, because he was cannibal.
He was a cannibal. Yeah, he was eating these motherfuckers. So I wonder if that's a thing. Like, if that's why he would go after black dudes if they taste better.
Shut up.
If we have any black listeners, let me know if you guys taste better to cannibals. He would dismember his victims, eat their flesh, and molest their corpses. So yeah, he was fucking them after. In some cases, he would try to zombify his victims by drilling holes into their head and pouring in hydrochloric acid. Ooh, that's kind of. I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is more involved than I ever knew.
Even other killers were disgusted by him. In 1994, Dahmer was murdered in prison by another inmate. He might have become my favorite after that little excerpt. There was a dude, I can't remember what the fuck his name was, but was it the ice pick killer? I can't remember, but he recorded it and put it on, like, this is when the internet was first coming out, so there was, it was hard to regulate all that shit, and he recorded it and put it on the internet, and you could watch it for a while. You probably could still find it somewhere, but he like killed some fucking dude and chopped him up on video he had an ice pick and shit, and he like killed him with the ice pick, and then he was having sex with him on the video and shit.
Oh God.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. We'll have to watch that one night together. That'll be fun.
Sounds like a romantic evening.
Right before bed. We'll save that for our anniversary.
Oh, yeah. We just had one of those, so we'll have to wait a while.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't have to subject me to that. Well,
our first year anniversary.
Leave it for the second year, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Doesn't seem appropriate for the first.
But Jeffrey Dahmer, I mean, he's one of the most famous. I know you don't like talking about how the famous ones.
Yeah,
but he is.
He's the most well-known, I would say, yes.
I'm surprised you didn't bring him up earlier, like as your first pick for.
It's because I don't think about them all the time, so I don't have them in my head. I
don't think about them all the time. It's just if I'm looking, like when you are at work and I'm going to watch something, there's only so many shows because we have shows that we're going to watch.
Right.
And so I like to watch serial killer shit just because there's nothing, I mean, it's not something that you're going to want to watch on a regular basis.
Exactly.
So,
So they're not on the top.
And this is me sharing. I'm bringing you into this world, and you're just not. You're rejecting it.
I'm not rejecting.
Actually, you're being pretty open-minded. So
yeah, I mean, not open-minded.
Let's see if we can change that. So Joseph James D'Angelo. It took 40 years. Oh, I just heard about this. This is actually pretty recent. So it took 40 years, but in April 2018, the suspected Golden State Killer was finally arrested based on DNA evidence, now 72. Joseph James D'Angelo is accused of committing at least 12 murders and more than 50 rapes between 1974 and 1986. Do you remember hearing about this?
Mm-mm.
It was like Patton Oswalt's wife wrote some book or some shit, and supposedly it helped.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know how true that is.
Oh.
He was like a comedian, and his wife died before, and then like after she died, this book came out, and I don't know. I'm probably fucking up the details, but anyway, this motherfucker was a retired police officer who used the same diamond-shaped knot to tie up his victims before killing them, and is currently sitting in Sacramento jail until his trial. So this was like last year that they caught this dude.
Oh.
The Golden State Killer.
I do remember hearing about that. This was
obviously in California, right? That's the Golden State?
Yeah.
We're not going to get through all of these, so I'm just going to try to read through a couple and we'll get some good.
Skim through a good one.
So, well, no, we've got plenty. We can keep going. I need more wine though, so we might have to get some more wine.
I was thinking about that as well.
So we can
talk about serial killers. I definitely need wine.
Yeah, we can take a break real quick before we go to the next one. I'm just going to leave this recording and then remind me to. So I'm going to take a good pause. So we'll be right back in a second. We'll go take a fucking tinkle, get some wine, let my goddamn dog out, and we'll be back. Like, you won't even know that we're gone because I'm going to edit that shit. So we'll be back in just a second. And we're back. Shit. I was like less than a second in fucking podcast, movie, music. Oh, fuck. Sorry. I appreciate you for being a professional and not getting stoned with me because I just struggled with that.
Yeah, you did.
Anyway, we're doing a special serial killer episode. Ooh, I was waiting to get to this guy. I'm glad we didn't stop before we got to this. Dexter, you need to go to your bed. You can't be part of this podcast right now.
It's too spooky for you.
I know. Unless we get to one who, like, there was that person who was killing cats.
Oh, yeah. But Olympia's full of it, though, because they had that cat one, and then remember that chick? Well, I guess she wasn't a serial killer, but
she killed her mom and cut her up in pieces
and put it around trash cans.
And then there was somebody who was killing cats and like removing their spines and leaving them on people's front lawns and shit. Up.
But more recently, I saw another one that was like all animals, like somebody's killing animals.
Yeah, like
poisoning them and like beheading them, and it's creepy.
You hear that, buddy? So that's what's going to happen if you don't go to your bed.
Stop.
Just kidding. We love our dog. All right, so this guy. Are you familiar with the BTK killer?
No.
No?
BTK?
BTK.
No.
So BTK stands for bind, torture, kill.
Oh, I should have known that.
Dennis Rader taunted the police and the media for decades. He sent them letters calling himself the BTK killer, an acronym for his modus operandi. Oh, he gave himself that name? That's kind of corny.
That does kind of sound familiar. Was it recently?
No. Not really. No, not at all. I mean, recently, as far as,
Like not the 1920s?
Yeah, it's not like fucking Albert Fish, who I'm sure we'll get to at some point. He's fun. Using that method, Rader killed 10 people in his home state of Kansas between 1974 and 1991, all the while blending into society as a church-going family man before he was finally caught in 2005. So this motherfucker would he's currently serving life without parole. So he would he was like the leader of the Boy Scouts and shit, and like he was a pastor.
Like the trusted guy that all your family loves and everybody loves and the community loves. Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of like that family that we watched on Netflix too.
Which one?
The one where they kidnapped the girl and the whole family was like naive about it.
Oh, what was that? Fuck, what was that one called? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what the fuck the documentary was called. It was on Netflix, and the little girl, the family is hanging out.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Well, you find out in the first fucking episode. In the very first episode, the guy is like, he asks if he can like go off with the daughter and some shit, and then he like brainwashes his daughter and like tells their parents that he's gonna marry them and shit, and like
marry
the kid.
Yeah,
because she's like a little girl at this point, and he just basically steals this little girl and molests her and shit.
But why I brought it up was because he was like a friendly guy that everybody loved in the community, and it just reminded me of it.
I mean, the guy he was more of like I feel like that shit's causing static or something. He was more of like a family friend of those people, though. Right, but he was also no, because he would travel and he would do that. He would, because as soon as the girl got too old, he was done with her. He like made her marry her when she was a little kid, brainwashed her and shit. And then when she got too old, he was he would move, and that dude had a family. And they would move from fucking place to place. Right. He would
become like a part of the community, part of the church, part of the, like, whatever.
I don't remember if he was doing all that. I think all they got into was like his interactions with the family. And he told that little girl that he was like aliens. He contacted her on the radio. After. That was pretty fucking fucked up. So they had like reenactments and shit.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I can't remember what it was called though. We'll have to fucking get back to. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was messed up though.
It was.
It was on Netflix. You can probably find it if you do a quick Google search. I'm too lazy to do all that.
But it was one of those where the memes were like, how did you possibly let this happen? Like,
when people were watching, it was pretty popular at some point. It was a couple months back, and people were watching it, so you can find it somewhere. But it was if you want to be pissed off for 6 episodes, watch that. Yeah, we yelled at the TV for just 6 days straight.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next. So Arthur Shawcross, like many killers, Arthur Shawcross had a troubled childhood. He struggled with below average intelligence and depraved sexual tendencies, including, here you go, Dexter, bestiality and cannibalism.
Ugh.
Those dark urges turned into a killing spree in 1972 when he raped and murdered his first victim. It would take until 1990 for New York State Police to stop this 300-pound killer. Oh shit, he's a big motherfucker. By then, he'd already killed at least a dozen women. Damn.
So he goes for women and animals?
Well, bestiality means he was just like having sex with animals.
Ugh.
So
disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. But this dude was 300 pounds. You would think that he would like at least go for a challenge, but he was just a little pussy going after women.
Well, he said his intellect was not intact as well. So
like Lenny of Mice and Men.
That's exactly what I was envisioning.
Although this dude seems like he was more fucked than Lenny would be. Lenny would be
Lenny was like just naive.
Yeah.
This guy sounds fucked.
This dude is like if Lenny was molested.
Yeah. And had it's just it's sad.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. So on to the next one. This one is actually in our neck of the woods.
Great.
Pacific Northwest.
I love hearing about these.
I'm pretty sure this is the Green River Killer. I'm pretty sure that's up there. Gary Ridgway committed at least 71 murders, in Washington State in the 1980s and 1990s. Like many serial killers, Ridgway targeted sex workers, hitchhikers, and runaways, all of which he would strangle and then dump in the woods of the Green River. Police caught Ridgway in 2001, years after Ted Bundy had helped authorities profile the suspect, at which point he was sentenced to life in prison. What does profile mean? Like he just helped him
get the profile him, like get all the the statistics out and all the he basically like Ted Bundy, because he was so smart and he was into crimes and into criminal. Right. He basically helped them he
pretended he was a lawyer and shit too.
Pinpoint who was what kind of characteristics and yeah.
I gotcha. All right, moving on. This guy,
I had heard about that from people that lived in Washington.
About the Green River Killer.
Yeah. I don't really have a specific story to tell, so you can go on.
Why is this shit still? I'm trying to read this without this thing fucking going off.
Why don't you move it towards me?
Oh, that? Oh, it's your phone. Move your phone away. Sorry. Fucking
I'm an amateur.
We're fucking up left and right here. I was going to skip through just in the interest of time, but I mean, I figure if you're still listening at this point, why not keep going? So, Alexander Pachushkin. So this guy was a real sick son of a bitch, but he was also creative, which I like. I feel like he's got to be Russian with that name, because
or
Polish. I don't think he's Polish. Most of these, Russia. His native Russia.
All right.
I was gonna skip by this guy, but then I got to the end. So he was dubbed the chessboard killer for the love of his game, but his real hobby was something far more sinister.
Dun, dun, dun.
Any guesses as to what that was? Take an actual good guess.
So he liked to play chess.
He liked to play chess. He was the chessboard killer. He loved the game of chess, it says.
So did he make his people the pawns or something? Like he made the heads be the little pawns you play? Is that what it's called? Pawns? When you play chess?
No. But good guess. Creative, outside the box.
All right.
That would be, I was reading it real quick to see if he did that, because that would be, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Like,
those are your trophies and pawns at the same time.
that would be a really good, like, Saw, you know, the movie Saw, where you would hook some shit onto each person. Like, you would wake up and you're just on the fucking chessboard and you're like, well, now you're on a fucking chessboard.
I wasn't thinking alive, but that, all right.
Yeah. I mean, it would be fucked. I mean,
I was thinking like taxidermy, but alive would be, like a
And
game.
you want to take it to the next level?
Oh, God. We're getting creepy here.
So the person that has to make the people move, it would be your family members, all your loved ones. So, like, you would be the chess player, and then all your family and loved ones would be the pieces.
Oh, God.
And you'd be forced to play against somebody else, and it would be their family and loved ones.
And they have to kill each other?
I guess, well, no, it wouldn't. It would just be some shit that would, like, be attached to their head, and then as you would knock them, eliminate them, it would just, like, fucking explode or some shit.
Well,
like
that's
some
what I'm saying.
Saw
Like,
style.
they'd have to
Each
die.
one would be different.
Right.
But then there'd be a twist. But, you know, who knows?
We're getting a little too into this, I think.
I know. I said that. I just said that I smoked weed. So I thanked you for not smoking weed, and that's why I'm fucking sidetracked. Sorry.
I'll attempt to dial you back in.
So his goal, anyway, that was a good guess.
I forgot we haven't even talked about what he actually did.
His goal was to get 64 kills, one for each space on the chessboard.
See, I don't know chess that well, so I wouldn't have known that.
I wouldn't have known that either, but that's pretty creative. So
Just one for each space, though? That's
Yeah.
not that
And then he was
creative.
gonna
I
be
think
done. He was
ours
gonna
was a
retire.
lot better.
48 people. So I mean, he didn't quite get there.
Darn. I say that with sarcasm.
All right, that one's not that great. I'm gonna skip all these ones with like the fucking difficult ass names, because we're gonna finish on like one or two more here. Let's see. Ooh, okay. This guy's got a cool name. So Dr. Harold Shipman was only convicted of killing. I like when that they say only. Only convicted of killing 15 people, but some estimates put the number of patients he murdered at more than 250.
No.
Dr. Death worked as a general physician in England from 1975 to 1998, during which time he would falsify his victims' medical records to show them to be in poor health, then administer lethal doses of diamorphine. Shortly after his conviction in 2000, Shipman hung himself in his prison cell.
Jeez. That's creepy. I mean, yeah. Doctors have way too much power to think about that type of... Ugh.
Ooh, this is a good one. Over a span of 20 years, starting in 1955, German serial killer Joachim Kroll committed 14 murders, going after victims as young as 4 and as old as 61. The brutal Kroll preferred to strangle his victim, or preferred to strangle his victims before having intercourse with their corpses. Oh, so he's a lover.
All ages? That's...
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, I guess, if you read the back of a board game, that would be all ages 4 to 61. So, yeah. He also confessed to police that he would...
That was a weird way of tying that in.
He also confessed to police that he would occasionally slice off parts of their flesh to eat later on. Ooh. He was arrested after police learned that the guts from one of his victims had clogged the plumbing in his apartment.
Oh, man. That's... Yeah, no.
You sound like Rachel from Friends right now. Yeah, that's...
I love that you have friend references now.
I know.
Makes me happy.
But that's what you reminded me of for a second there.
Stuck in the 90s. What can I say?
No, I'm trying to see if there's one we can finish up on that doesn't have a hard name for me to fucking say. And that's still
A light,
cool.
fluffy one?
A light and fluffy. We could do Richard Ramirez. I guess we're going to have to do Richard Ramirez. So, over the course... Again, another famous one. Over the course of just 1 year, between 1984 and 1985, Richard Ramirez had the cities of San Francisco and Los Angeles. Oh, that's where we met. Oh, in a near constant state
in
of
San Francisco?
Los Angeles, ho.
I thought you said and San Francisco.
Oh, and San Francisco, yeah.
Didn't your mom
I apologize
live
for calling
there
you a hoe.
then? I think your mom lived there then.
Maybe.
Anyways.
So the Night Stalker. So he was an avowed Satanist. Hail Satan. When he began burglarizing homes and raping and killing his victims. He used a variety of weapons to carry out his twisted crimes, ranging from handguns and hammers to machete. Handguns and hammers, that's a little bit fucking...
Handguns and hammers to machetes? Is that...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird.
Broad?
Well, it's weird that he would say that the way it was written is that handguns and hammers to machetes.
So it's poorly written.
I feel like they could have put more, like more. You can't just put and more.
From sticks to
when
handguns.
You're talking about serial killer, like accoutrement, you can't just say and more. You know?
It's like saying and so on.
Like, I want to know what the fuck they used. This is just poorly
like when
written.
people say...
Again, it's very short, and this is from All That's Interesting, so I don't know how fucking credible it is. He used a variety of weapons to carry out his twist. Oh, I already read that. It wasn't until he fled a convenience store after seeing his face on a newspaper that he was eventually captured in 1985. He died while still on death row in 2013.
Wow.
So, nice little light one to finish on. So,
makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah. So, that's all I have for serial killers for this week. I think I could look for more, and I'm sure I could think of more. I'm a little disappointed that they left off. Who was I saying that I want? Oh, we did get to BTK. I got to BTK.
Yes.
He's one of my favorites. So, thank you for listening, as always, to Choice Nugs Only. I almost said Choice Nugs Only. To Itty Bitty Podcast this week, kicking off our October Halloween extravaganza. So, yeah, we've got a couple more Halloween themes. Next week isn't going to be as silly and fucking laid back. I have a actual interview in my...
See? There we go. And you said I wasn't...
No, I'm kidding. No, you weren't. I had wanted to do this anyway because I thought it was, after we had done this the other day, I thought it was a good idea. We literally did this in the same room. And so I figured let's stop, put a pin in it, and then continue it here for my Halloween shows. I even have a Halloween theme. So.
All right.
Follow us on Instagram, Itty Bitty Podcast, on Twitter, at Itty Bitty Pcast. Facebook, there's a Facebook group now too, so make sure you get on that. And if you haven't checked out our other podcasts, I've said the name a bunch of times, but Choice Nugs Only, make sure you check that out. We're gonna have a new call-in line for that show, so follow all that stuff on social media, and I'll see you guys next week. And then check us out on ittybittypodcast.com. And yeah, anything else you want to say before we turn all the lights out and get weird? Do a satanic ritual.
Deuces.
Oh, that's what you're gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Later.